Today we're going to be doing an interesting one. We're going to see if we can take the frunk tub out of the Model Y to check on the light that we had a little bit of a problem with. We're going to see if we can get that light clipped back in from getting from the frunk. And honestly, a little bit intimidated by taking the frunk out, so let's see. Hopefully I don't mess anything up on the frunk today. And as well, I would really like it if we could get the light fixed. So we're going to check that out and see how it goes. So you may recall from our previous video that the light here is a little bit pushed in, hit some road debris, a little tire, and it smacked the front of the car here and actually knocked this light out of whatever clip is holding it in somewhere around here on this side of the light. So we're going to we tried from the wheel well and to see if we could get the underpan off, and neither one of those was very successful. But today we're going to try the frunk, take the frunk tub out and see if that gives us access to that light. Another option I might look at is potentially taking the wheel off and taking more of this shroud off to see if we can get under there, maybe raising the car a little bit, see if we have better access that way. So we're going to try a couple different ways, but I did want to see what it was like under the frunk here in the Model Y. We do have a June 2020 build of the Model Y, so I am curious to see whether we actually have the shroud over the heat pump to keep it a little bit quieter. I'm not sure if we have that, so good opportunity to see A, if we can get the frunk tub out, and B, if it does have that shroud on it, and then most importantly, see if we can fix that light. So we'll go ahead and open the frunk. Alright, got a bunch of stuff here in the frunk. I'm going to take that out, and then I'm going to work on getting that back part of the shroud off there. That's supposed to just pop off with little clips, so hopefully that'll come off pretty easy. Then we got to figure out how to get the frunk tub out here. Got a nice little leaf here. It's nice. Okay. Alright, so this little piece here was super easy to take off. It had all these little clips here, but they popped off super easy, so that was great. This clip here, oddly enough, I do not see where that, this clip seems almost extra. Oh, it's over there too. Hopefully that's not very important. But there's two of those that do not have a clip in them, so that's weird. We'll set this to the side. Alright, looks like we have a couple hex bolts there, and don't see anything there, so two hex bolts out here and two bolts here. That's all I see. And then we probably have to take this 4 bolts here holding it in, and then I'm gonna have to take this little piece off here. I think if I just pop it off. Okay, don't want to break any clips or anything, but I think I just have to take this little shroud here off. It has the button to release in case you were stuck in the frunk. You would have to be pretty small to be stuck in the frunk, but I think maybe one of our kids could fit in there. So that is a safety release there. It has the light and the safety release, so you press that button and it does trigger the release of the frunk if you were somehow stuck in it. Alright, so I did find finally the right socket here. It is a 10 millimeter. So we're going to go ahead and undo these. So there's 4 of these. Alright, so I found over here on this side, there is a clip right here that secures the windshield washer fluid fill cap there to the frunk tub. So I just need to pop that off with a screwdriver, and then I do still need to figure out how to get that shroud off, and I believe disconnect that light and mechanism in order to take the whole tub out. So that's what we're gonna work on now. So we did get the Frunk tub out, and that was super easy. This little safety latch here actually popped off super simple with just a few clips there from the top. Just gently popped those clips off, and then I was actually able to just feed it through the hole that was actually in the Frunk tub here, so it just came out no problem. And as far as the tub itself, there was actually nothing else securing it besides those 4 bolts, the 2 here and the 2 there and there. And then of course that one little clip there came off really easy. So overall there was really just 5 pieces securing the Frunk tub to the car. And got one thing down here. The heat pump does have the sound isolating shroud over it. It's really just a foam type material. So as loud as our heat pump is in the Model Y, it's probably not going to get any quieter. Can't actually request any additional shroud that would go over that because it is already there. We don't have much trouble with that, but it does seem to be pretty loud sometimes. So whatever. If you're in the car, you don't notice it, but if you're outside the car, it is kind of noticeable when it's running full blast. But nevertheless, it does have the sound isolating shroud on it, so that's already good to go. But moving on over here, and actually, don't know if you can see it very well. So I was trying to get to the light that is in the front here, and it is pretty obvious that it is going to be impossible to get to that light. I can't even see the light. I can see the kind of I can't see the light. Okay. I can't see where the light attaches to the front bumper, which means, sadly, I think we might have to take out the front bumper. Maybe I should try getting in through the wheel well shroud first before I attempt to take off the bumper. But it does look like some hex bolts here on the bumper, and I would imagine some clips somewhere. I don't know. Should I take the bumper off or not? So I don't think really there's any need to do this, but for extra safety, I'm going to go here and I'm actually going to turn off the car. So this way it turns off the power and hopefully would not interfere with anything electronic up there that I might disconnect. So I'm going to go ahead and power off. You just have to hit the brake to turn it back on. So the power is off, and that should help it be a little bit safer to work on. Should I need to take anything, disconnect anything. Alright, so I have decided now that I'm going to see if I can take the bumper off, and to do that I'm going to do the same thing I did before in the last video. I'm going to take the clips off the bottom shroud there, and then I'm going to take the clips off of this wheel well here on this side of the car, and then hopefully I'll be able to take the shroud off from the wheel well. I think I'm going to go ahead and take the wheel off too, just take everything apart and then see if we can see that light there in the car. So we have taken the wheel off here, obviously, and I think that this is going to be the best bet for getting to that light. I'm going to take the rest of this shroud off, and then I should be able to see that light from behind here. I was thinking about taking the bumper off. But there's a bolt on this side, and there was the 5 bolts across the top. So obviously I would have to take this shroud, or at least the outer rim here, off to take that bolt out. And there might be other bolts, honestly, I don't even know. So I'm definitely hoping that taking this cover off will give me access to the light, and that will be what we need to fix that light. So we got all of the shroud clips off. Turns out there were a bunch of clips all over this wheel well shroud, and got all the way over here to this side, and it turns out there's actually a bolt holding it on. But on this side, where it does seem like there should be a bolt, there's not. And this thing definitely looks like it should be on the other side of this. Nice and clean here, isn't it? Okay. Anyway, so I think I'm missing a bolt actually here for this wheel well shroud. Looks like it doesn't really matter too much with all these clips holding it in. It does seem to do okay, but definitely want to try to get this on the other side of this thing when I put the shroud back. So I'm assuming this is a 10mm bolt as well, so I'm going to take that off, and then hopefully this whole entire shroud will come off and we can get access over there. Got the shroud off here, and we can see the light. This is the bracket that holds the light in, so right there, and we can see that it's right here on the front that it's not attached. So it's definitely somewhere in there. I can't tell. Oh, maybe there's a clip back there. Maybe it's undone. Let's see if we can pop it back in place here. Good news. I do think that we can fix this, because I can see right here, man, it's really hard to pick up in the camera, but there is that clip right there that got knocked over. You can see my finger pushing through from the front there, but that's where that clip is that got knocked out. So if I can just get these 2 little clips back in place, we should be good to go. All right, there it is. So it's pretty hard to see there, but I did get that clip back in place. So now both clips are in place, and the light is now flush where it's supposed to be to the thing. Now I can move a little bit. It's obviously not quite as firm on there as it was before, but that clip is in place now. So it is at least secured in there where it's supposed to be. So success. We got the light back in place down here, and didn't have to do much to do it. Just had to get the frunk out and the wheel. Just had to take the wheel out, no big deal. A few clips, screws, that sort of thing. Got the shroud here, and now we know what's under the frunk tub and that you can't access the light from the frunk tub. To do it perfectly, I think we would really need to take the bumper off, and probably there might be a screw stripped or something. You know, obviously the clip is not as secure as it was before on this light, so not perfect, but it is back in place and it is secured. So I am happy about that. So good enough for me, especially since it didn't cost me anything. In fact, it was pretty fun to learn how to take all this stuff apart. So now the only question is, can I put it back together? Because I don't know if I can. So let's see if it goes back together. And here it is, the full damage done. Frunk tub out. Wheel well, shroud out, wheel out, and we had access to that. Got the shroud back in place, thankfully, and I even fixed this little area here where the bottom piece of the shroud was not in place. So got that back in place. I still think there's missing a bolt. We're missing a bolt right here, but that's okay. It seems to hold in place. There's a bunch of clips on it all the way around, so it should be fine. Obviously it was fine even when it wasn't in place, so should be good and better going forward than it was. It's a little trickier to get on, but once you get the clips in place, it should just pop back in place. So let's see if that goes well. Alright, so don't forget to use a torque wrench. Should be 129 foot-pounds of torque on the lug nuts. Okay, so real quick, before I put this piece in, man, it's really dark here. All right, so before I put the clip in here, this little thing, I wanted to make a little note on these clips right here. These clips really just pretty much The tub just rests on it. There's 4 of these, 2 on each side, and the tub just kind of rests on these. It's kind of like a shelf. They don't secure into them at all, but these things are really easy to pop off, and this one actually multiple times I dropped and it fell through to the bottom of the car. So thankfully it dropped all the way down and it didn't get stuck in the shroud, which I just took off. That would have been so annoying if it was in there. But thankfully I was able to recover that little clip there, and just make a note of that. If you take the frunk tub out of your Model Y, these little clips on these sides come off really easily and are easy to lose, and they don't secure it much at all. The 4 bolts, I think, are what secure this in, as well as this little tab here, which should be easy to just pop in. So this secures this part to that. So now it's kind of secured in place. But those tabs, watch out for those. So, great news. We did get the frunk tub back in there. Everything's clipped in. This piece goes on super easy. So it comes off and goes on super easy. Although there is a clip on either side, just like the 4 clips I talked about earlier on this tub, that do easily come off, and it really just rests on. But that gives you a point to put it on. So there you have it. We did get the frunk tub back in, and it turns out that really it wasn't necessary to take the frunk tub out in order to fix the light here that we had a problem with. So this light is now back in place, thankfully, so that is good news. But in order to do that, I just had to take the wheel and the entire wheel well shroud out in order to access that point. So that is what ended up getting the light fixed. So it's back in place and good to go. And also, we did learn about how to take the frunk tub out, and that we have the noise isolating shroud around the heat pump. So that is already in place in our, again, June build 2020 Model Y. So the heat pump does have that sound isolating shroud around it, and so that was good to know. And we did figure out how to get the shrouds off, and I actually made a little bit of an improvement to the shroud there. It obviously was not put in place originally perfectly correct, so I guess that is something from the original delivery that, or the original assembly really, that was not 100% correct about the Model Y. So that was a little bit odd that that shroud was not actually in place. I highly doubt that any road debris was able to knock that out of place. So we did correct that, and that is a good improvement. And we did learn some things about how to do some work on the Model Y, so that was fun. And thankfully, everything went back together, and I believe it is back together correctly. So good news overall. I was a little bit worried there for a while, but it did turn out good. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.